Oh, hello again. So last time I was talking about the 48-hour film project. This time specifically I'm going to be talking about the various themes that you could get. So a couple weeks back the official themes for this year's competition were announced. They have two genre groups on the website. There's a video up on Vimeo if you want to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. Let's go over the categories, shall we? So the first group of categories is Fish Out of Water, which I actually had that one time. I mean, that's a great opportunity to make a comedy. I love to make movies that make people laugh. So that's one of my favorites, actually. So Film Defend, which is a category that was made up by the 48-hour film project itself to support female-driven stories and female filmmakers and give space for filmmakers to create stories that highlight women's issues, which I think is a great message. I had that once, and I basically just had, I chose to do a story that didn't really hang a lantern on the gender part of it, but it featured all female characters, so, you know, Film Defend. Drama, should be obvious what that is. Dark comedy. I love a good dark comedy. Witness Shaun of the Dead. That's hilarious. Horror, not my bag, but a lot of people love horror, and I know how to do it because I've been on a lot of horror sets, so, you know, bring it on. I can make a good horror story, but I don't really enjoy doing it. It's not my bag of tea. Sci-fi, oh, sci-fi is so good. Fantasy, that one's a challenge, right? Because you have to kind of think outside the box, and if you've read a lot of Lord of the Rings and other stuff like that, that's good mental prep for fantasy. Comedy, come on. Thriller, suspense, bum bum. Yes. Thriller and suspense is a good one, but it's also challenging to do well. So yeah, this one's a little bit on the intimidating side. Romance, that also can be challenging depending on who you have on your acting team. For example, like one year I had 2 child actors and not really anybody else but me and like a friend that I was working with, and our ages were like too weird, and I don't know what we would have done if we got romance as a category. So it can be challenging. You might want to consider your team and who you have on your team. This is why building your team is really important, because then you as the writer brain can consider what storylines you would have given the actors that you locked on. Silent film. Oh, this could be good or bad depending on what you do. Do you want to do a modern silent film? Do you want to pay homage to the originals, Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, the classics? Or do you want to do something more like Art Nouveau, something creative, something different? So that's an opportunity to play. What else? Mockumentary. I did a mockumentary and it was funny, and it was a lot of fun to do, and that was actually something that I did as like a solo film project, because it was COVID 2020, so I did that entire project all by myself, start to finish, and it wound up being a mockumentary subculture film. And last year, actually, one of the top competitors was also a mockumentary, so that's a fun playground to play in. Musical, very challenging, a musical. Very hard to do well. And again, given the roster of actors that you have, definitely ask them, do you have dancing experience? Do you have a sequin dress? Do you have glitter makeup? Do you have dance experience? Do you have anything that could, you know, that's a little esoteric, that's a little out of the box? Because most actors are like, I have, you know, I can speak, you know, 5 languages, and I have experience doing this, and I have training doing this. But nobody really considers dance as part of acting until you get musical as a category. So give that a thought. Give that a little think. All right, let's do this some more. What do we have next? Western. God, that's challenging, right? Western. So in order to do a Western really well, it could be a modern Western or it could be an old-fashioned Western. Now, classic Westerns are what people usually think of, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and whatever have you. That's tough to do well. But I recently went to a film festival where they had done a Western very well with very limited resources. And it was still so very clearly capturing the essence of a classic Western that it inspired me to think outside the box and really prepare for this eventuality, which was prior to this, like, kind of impossible. but now it seems more possible. So we'll see. Next one, detective cop. Oh boy, that's kind of tricky, right? Because then you need like badges and potentially like some chase scenes and maybe a cop car or something like that. So if you have all those resources planned out, that's one thing. And if not, you might want to do like a private eye type storyline or something with a little bit more resources. Again, you have to consider these things before you walk into the 40-hour film project and you're like, okay, now what do I do? It's nice to have a little rough outline, rough idea based on who you know your teammates are and what locations you've secured and what costumes you can lay your hands on ahead of time, because that sort of helps shape the direction that you can go without you freaking out that you've gotten a nasty surprise. Detective cop is not super easy to do well, but it is possible. Like witness things like Castle or NYPD Blue or any other of those shows. Heck, even Mandalorian had an episode that was a little bit detective copy. I loved it, by the way. No shade thrown. Then there's genre group 2. So I assume that we're gonna get one out of one group and one out of another group, and you have to choose. It's nice that musical and Western are in the same group. Unless, of course, that's not how it's gonna be done. So, second group, martial arts. That's tough to do. I did, one of my first films was a silent martial arts film. And we spent months in fight choreography with a trained martial artist teaching us how to be safe and and choreographing the fights for us. Months of work. So to have martial arts as a category and to expect to do well with that, unless you're doing like a martial arts comedy, like you really have to bring your A game and hopefully have somebody on the roster that knows a little bit of something on there. And maybe find somebody who does like choreography or safety training in some way and put them on your team. For this round, I actually don't have that person. So I would have to think of creative ways to be safe, but also bring some martial arts into it, which I have very limited experience with, but I don't want to get somebody smacked in the face just because we're trying to make a film. Next up, spy and espionage. Ooh. Like James Bond stuff. I love it. But you have to be a little bit playful with it. So, for example, like if you get this one, think to yourself, what kind of costumes do you have? What kind of skills do you have? What kind of languages do you or your fellow actors know that you can leverage? What kind of story do you want? What kind of MacGuffin are you going to use? Spy and espionage can be full of action, or it can be very, very subtle and subterfuge. I saw a 1-minute film once that had a very hilarious take on the whole spy genre, and it was very well done. It was really, really, really well done with 2 actors, 1 car, and like a stable location and a suitcase. And they did a really nice job in just that 1 minute. It was both funny and really paying homage to all the tropes that you find in a spy and espionage film. It's possible. Just go out there and try to use your imagination for that kind of spy game business. Medical doctor film. Ooh, that's an intimidating one. I actually, funny enough, when I was doing the Fish Out of Water film, I wrote about doctors. They were in their off time, but it's kind of interesting that that's where I went. Now, when you think of medical and doctor drama, you kind of think of the whole ER, you think of Grey's Anatomy, you think of the classic tropes, lab coats, and all this drama that happens on the side is kind of incidental. But it could be fun to do. There was one where one year we got plastic surgeon as a required job for our character. And so basically, doesn't that mean that everybody's film was a doctor film? Kinda. Buddy film. This one's awesome. This could be great because this opens up a lot of possibilities. You've got, well, who are your actors? Is it going to be a bromance film? Is it going to be a kid film that has like a forging of a new friendship? Is it going to be an adventure where they go out and, you know, I don't know, find the perfect soda or something like that? Like, it could be anything. It could be anything. I like the idea of a buddy film. Climate film. This one's challenging, right? Because you have to infuse your film with the message of, you know, can we do something to save the earth, please? And this could be tackled from multiple angles based on who you get as a character, based on what actors you have on your roster, based on what props you get, or anything like that can be related to your climate film. So if you get like, I don't know, balloons, and you do a climate film, you could talk about how balloons in the ocean are, you know, killing whales and stuff. That's just a possibility. But you can't use stock video footage, so if you want to hop on a boat and take footage of whales on a whale watch in that one day that you have to shoot, good on you, but other than that, you're not allowed to use stock footage, so just keep that in mind. It can be tricky to do a climate film well, but it's still a pretty awesome category. It's a challenging category for sure. Mystery, oh, mysteries are tough. Starting all the way at the classics with Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie and going all the way down to like the current ones. Like even Castle is a good mystery film because a mystery, you know, TV show or whatever. I don't know, I enjoy it, it's a guilty pleasure. But you have to, freaking Batman the animated series, every single Riddler episode could be qualified as a mystery because it's mind-bending brain teasers that culminate in the solving of a riddle or a problem. Those are hard to do. Those are really tough to do. If I were to name 5 categories that you would have to think and meditate on and research ahead of time, mystery would be on there. Because in order to do a mystery well, you kind of have to internalize the formula. And even I haven't done it. It's an intimidating one for me. So good luck to you. And yeah. Let's see what happens if we get mystery. Okay. Doppelganger, mistaken identity. That's a fun one. We've been playing around with that concept since Shakespeare with Twelfth Night. We love a good mistaken identity story. But the only thing with this is that you have to decide based on your actor's roster if you are going to do a situation where you got one actor playing multiple parts, or if you've got several actors that look similar and you can play around with that playground. So just you as the writer, keep those actors in mind when you're doing this. Heist. Very much like mystery and very much like detective cop. You have to think of what's happening, who wants what, why, and try to write a story where it's exciting to see somebody try to get something, maybe not get it, maybe do get it, and it doesn't matter, but it's a heist. Oh, I've seen, actually there was one film that won, and they did a period piece where multiple people were stealing the same winning lottery ticket. It was awesome, and it was definitely a heist film, and it was like low stakes, but kind of not because it was a high winning lottery ticket, but it wasn't like you need to have the entire cast and crew, you know, build the set of a bank or something. So think about that when you're considering the heist category, because it doesn't necessarily have to be grand scale to be exciting and thrilling and fun. Food film. I've never had food film, and it seems exciting. So, I mean, if you like cooking, you've already got a heads up, because if you are a foodie, you like to mix different styles of food, you like to cut up vegetables, you like to do B-roll of like chicken cooking or something, you know, bring it on. That's going to be your food film. And it has to have a little bit of spirit and soul to it. So that's interesting. That's a very fun category. I don't think I've seen a food film in a while through the 48 Hour Film Project. Yeah, I don't remember any. School film. That's challenging because not everybody has access to a school, right? Like, I don't have access to a school anymore. I went to school when I was a kid and when I was in college, but that's kind of tricky because maybe I don't have child actors and maybe I don't have like a university that can get me a location for a day, or with classroom setting and everything else. So that's challenging. That's actually kind of tough for some people who don't have those connections. Social media influencer film. That's hilarious. That's all I'll say about that. I mean, I think anybody can figure out how to do that. I saw one film a while ago that was also submitted through the 48 Hour Film Project that was dealing with the social media influencer thing, and it was seriously well done. I can't remember the name of it though. I'm so sorry. Road trip movie. Yes, I've seen a few good ones of this. I mean, bring out your drones. Vacation and holiday film, very similar to the road trip movie, but you can be on location for that. You don't have to be traveling as much, so that's nice. Social commentary, that's a really cool category. It means, of course, that your film is probably going to be a little bit more dramatic, unless you do something like Idiocracy, which was definitely a social commentary, but a comedy as well. So that's a fun one to get. Sports film or a game film, that's awesome. Not everybody has access to a football field, so not everybody is going to be able to do Friday Night Lights. But you can make a film about chess, or you can make a film about competitive coffee drinking. I don't know. Anyway, it's a fun category to get. So now that you've got your head wrapped around, I don't know, about 30 categories, why don't you go ahead and tell me what you like or don't like, what scares you, what doesn't scare you, what intimidates you, what excites you as a writer, as a creator, as a filmmaker, and drop those comments below. And I will tell you in a few days, after the dust settles, what we got, how it went, and a little bit about what we made without spilling all the tea, because we're not allowed to until after all the award ceremonies and stuff. Like, subscribe, support our team with the Ko-fi link below, and yeah, I'll see you next video.
Friendly Filmmaker is a Tuba Creations production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Mastodon. And if you like what we do, consider supporting us on Ko-fi with either a one-time donation or a membership. Members get all sorts of great perks. Check out ko-fi.com/friendlyfilmmaker for more. That's ko-fi.com/friendlyfilmmaker. Thanks for watching.